Alrighty, what do I think of people calling Silent Hill 2 Remake anti-art? I've been seeing this crop up a lot recently, and I love the original, and I love the remake, and I want to kind of give my opinion on this. So usually what people would say is, let me see if I can talk like a contrarian, right? This shit is anti-art. It's not the same as the original. Mona Lisa, titties out, all sorts of bullshit. If you remake the Mona Lisa in the modern age, she will have yoga pants and she will be holding a fucking cell phone, taking a selfie. It's not the same experience. I hate it. I hate it. I can't stand it. Dislike bomb the shit out of it. When you recreate perfection of an artist's painting, if they did it in the modern age, it'd be equivalent to AI art, and no one wants someone with 6 fingers on one hand. What is this bullshit? They should have changed more with this game. It should have been a complete reimagining like RE2, then they would have done something more unique. What are they doing? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, I'm gonna be real. Alright, and if you're not here for brutal reality and obviously someone not conforming to your confirmation bias, you might want to click off the video now. Just saying. Number 1, I love the original Silent Hill 2, but I think a lot of you guys have the nostalgia binders on so hard that it's squeezing your brain. I saw one guy in the comment section saying how the original combat was better than the remake. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, one of the weakest portions of the original Silent Hill 2 was the combat to me. You basically get the pipe and you hit a nurse in the knees like 5,000 times until she dies, then you stomp her, it's over. It's boring, it's unengaging, and the boss battles are also the same. It felt like they created this out of necessity as opposed to making it actually engaging whatsoever. Resident Evil was always better than Silent Hill in terms of combat, and Silent Hill was always better in terms of atmosphere and story. We all knew this even well back then. There are problems with the Silent Hill 2 remake combat, but it's decent. It's fine. Just I wish I would stop missing pipe swings when I try to hit someone. I think that is constructive criticism. The thing is that saying this whole anti-art thing is a lot of cherry picking, a lot of rose-tinted glasses to the past, and a lack of nuance, in my opinion. I think people are very beholden to the past game, and I think that's personally fine, but if you are someone that thinks that game is also flawless, then your argument is kind of weird, because that game is not flawless of the sort. It does have problems, it does have issues with how some of the scenes had voice acting in them and the lines sounded pretty bad, which is why there are some lines and vocal reads that are either removed, or it flows more naturally, or it feels more ambiguous in this remake. That's number 1. Number 2 is I don't get this whole logic of it needs to be like a Mona Lisa painting. That's kind of weird in my opinion, because if you're remaking something, isn't the whole idea to remake the game while also recreating a new painting in the process? You're still remaking the old game, but you're making a completely new foundation of a video game. Resident Evil 2 plays largely different with the remake than the original. It's barely not even the same game gameplay wise. Just outside of general aesthetics being a survival horror game, it's a completely new game with new rooms, and the boss patterns are very different compared to the original. It is a different game in a lot of aspects. I don't know why some of you really expect some of these remakes to be completely the same, as if they are remasters. That is dumb logic, all right? that is Dumbtown 101 to me. That is like wearing your dust cap. I don't understand that. If you want a remaster, why not play, well, it essentially is. It's not it's not like Silent Hill HD where they completely fuck that up, but you could play Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, and that's essentially the best version of the original game. And thirdly, there are people saying, oh, it's so anti-art, they didn't do anything original in this game. They should have made an entirely new game, like a reimagining of Silent Hill 2. You guys would have hated that. You would have hated it into the ground. You would have hated it into oblivion. You would have hated it into the sun. You know why? Because purists, people who don't want things to be changed too much, what are you exactly, right? You don't want things to be changed too much. So if they would have changed things too much, and Konami originally was going to do this, you would have been mad. Okay, I'm not even exaggerating. You would have been pissed. You would have then shifted your narrative to, oh my god, Bloober changed so much. They wrote the medium into Silent Hill. Oh my god, why? Why would you deviate so much from a cult classic? You would have complained about this. Let's not lie, you would have shifted the goalpost to this. Ultimately, this game was not going to satisfy everyone, and that is true. But if you just want the original experience, then I think you should go and embark on the original experience. It's not going anywhere. Not at all. The original Silent Hill 2 is a timeless classic. And just because a remake is out, I like to treat remakes as companion pieces. The original made a splash, and the remake can make a splash to a whole new audience who never played those games like 20 years ago. They have their place, they have an impact. So for people to say, oh well, remakes are ruining the industry, we don't get anything original, you don't play anything original anyway. Because sometimes, like, some of these, like, original games and IPs and AA games, they be flopping. And sometimes people don't be buying them. Alright? I see no one, rarely next to anyone, talking about Capcom's, like, Kunitsugami. I don't see a lot of videos that were dissecting Pragmata. That's a new IP that Capcom is making. I'm sure there's a lot of people playing Monster Hunter. Some idiot in my comment section said, sequels aren't new games. I know his IQ is like dead in the water. Dead. Alright. Capcom is making Resident Evil 9. Like, it's a lot of original games out there, but the folks that hyper focus on remakes supposedly being anti-art and taking over the industry, they don't pay attention to new original games or sequels, or they try to downplay the point because their point is that ridiculous when they make these statements. Either way, what matters is you should never stifle anyone's creativity. Make what you want, as long as it's good, that's all I care about. And to add insult to injury, the original director himself praised this game. Loves it. Like, gave it a fucking praise. Like, he said about Silent Hill 2 Remake, games and technology are constantly evolving, resulting in significant differences in constraints and levels of expression. This is a common issue with media arts in general, but it is not easy to maintain and appreciate the environment of the time. Even he says, that stuff was hard back then, so I can admire people trying to have a new spin on it and create newer things and build on it, just like Bloober did. However, some folks are gonna say the most outlandish things because honestly, they don't know what they want. There's always going to be people who don't know what they want. And to end this off with a quote from the original director himself, to you anti-art guys who likes to make your blood boil, well, he said, "I think the value of the remake is that a new generation can play it." I put it like this: as long as they respect the source material, as long as you acknowledge that not everything will be catered to you, as long as you realize it's okay to compare and contrast the original and the remake, as long as you know the original also has shortcomings and limitations, just like the director said, that's cool, then you can easily acknowledge that maybe this art will be valuable to someone else. It could be. It could happen. And they could get into the series and they could retroactively start to love Silent Hill, because I'm never against new people coming into the fray and learning about this franchise. It was long overdue. And if you're gatekeeping, toxic gatekeeping, where like you just can't allow the idea of a franchise being revived, then maybe it's you with the personal problem and you don't like evolution. This is Renegade Operative. I'm signing out. I believe this anti-art thing is another weird talking point where people want to diminish the game itself without being part of the constructive criticism brigade. Like, I can constructively criticize this game without saying anti-art, fuck Ito, fuck this person, fuck Akira Yamaoka, just like Speedrunner did. You know, his music is equivalent to listening to a brick in a washing machine. Like, what is that?
I don't want to fast forward to the next part. I want to see my friends. Are those developers? Here, let me see. I don't really care what Yamaoka has to say. All right, bro. Yeah. You're really good at throwing a brick in a washing machine. I get it.
That is crazy. That is bullshit. And it goes to show you that some of these guys are so pedantic. It's incredible. But you know what? If you're all anti-art this, anti-art that, rah, you can make art. You can make a horror video game. You can make a horror movie. Let me know what it is. I would love to watch it. I would love to play it. And I would love to constructively go through what you create. Let's see if what you create will be any better than what you're pedantically talking about. Like I said, there are some constructive things to be said about Silent Hill 2 Remake. But if you're going off the fringe and you're saying the original is perfect and flawless in every way, and well, some things about the original are not perfect, it could be held to scrutiny just like every other game, right? Then I do think you are being intentionally biased to the original, or you have rose-tinted glasses if you forget all this stuff about how the bosses are really not all that great in the original, or some of the combat is really not all that great in the original either, right? The same can be said about the other crowd. Oh, the original game is shit, it was never that good, 0 out of 10. The new one is much better, blows it away in every singular degree. You don't need to play the original, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that. Well, look, if it wasn't for that OG game, you would not have a remake. So both sides are being called out now. If it wasn't for that original game, the remake would not exist. So you would have nothing to brag about of the sort whatsoever. That's kind of how it is. But what do you think in the comment section below? It's another day. I mean, the Silent Hill fan base has been known to be pretty pedantic anyway. I'm not wrong there. And nitpicks, while they can be valid critiques, sometimes it doesn't spoil the whole pot. And I want people to realize that, like, nitpicking something to death, in my opinion, doesn't make for a good constructive review. That's what I personally think. And I saw a reviewer, I'm not gonna name his name, but all he did was nitpick things and say the text on the wall looked similar, and they repurposed this and repurposed that to be the same as the original. And I'm like, what the fuck are you? Ooh, don't even get me started on ranting. Pathetic arguments, all right? Find something more valid to talk about and compare and contrast. Don't forget that word either, compare and contrast, because a lot of people do that. I think saying anything that is anti-arts, especially for people that care about the franchise, is kind of a huge discredit to the dev team. And I mean, this behavior can kind of be seen as sour grapes anyway, because a lot of you people who tried to say this game was going to fail, you ended up being wrong anyway. And now, some of you at least, you kind of got egg on your face there, just a little bit, just a little bit. Anyway, I am Renegade Operative. I am truly signing out. See you guys next time. Later.